15 years. We have, both me and Manish, had been thinking about how we could live a very different life and not be dependent on the mainstream systems or institutions. So, before we got married, we had made two very clear, I would say, conditions to each other. One was that we would want to live in India after we got married, and the other was that we would not want to send our children to school because we felt that school in the present form is very, very harmful, and it's actually, these days I would even call it a criminal activity on children, because the way children are being forced into competition, compulsion, commodification, these are all things that we really wanted to keep ourselves free from. So we thought that a beautiful start to that would be to start thinking or dreaming of another life. So when Kanku was born about 10 years ago, before that we had already co-founded an organization called Shikshantar.
Oh, you
which
did
is a
it
people
15.
movement. Yeah.
Okay.
15 years ago we had started this. I mean, basically, after we got married, before we got married, we were both working in different organizations. I was working in Delhi, Manish was working in Paris, and so we had basically, as soon, a month before we got married, we both left our jobs because we really wanted to start something new together. So we got married and then we traveled a little to figure out where we wanted to be. And after 9 months of traveling and spending time out, we then moved to Udaipur and started this place. And we see Shikshantar is a life movement because it's really about thinking about our own. So we started Shikshantar with a dream that people like us who didn't want to fit into mainstream could come and do some experiments with us, and also question what's going on in the world today and try to create alternatives.
Okay.
So Shikshantar was co-founded 15 years ago, and then we started doing different experiments in Shikshantar around organic farming. Unschooling is one, healthy cooking, self-healing. So for us, when Kanku was born, unschooling was really about trying to think of our own lives and our own unlearning processes also. Because my college or my school degrees had never taught me how to raise a child.
May I say something?
Yep.
I like makeup.
Yes. At the day
And
of.
that is my dream, and I like to care animals. That is
Yeah,
my
that's
dream
what
too.
Mama Papa said the other day. Yeah.
I love it.
So when she was born, we also had this opportunity to think, to really unlearn a lot, because our college and our education had told us that a life has to be lived a certain way, and we felt that that was very child unfriendly ways of raising children. So we actually started thinking more about our own lives and how we wanted to live. And so we also, when Kanku was born, we also started creating a network for families all over the country who were unschooling.
Okay. That day, that 10 years back.
Because we were thinking of how we could make connection with other families who were already doing it. And for us, when we talk about unschooling, it's really about the parents, because children are learning and imaginative and creative the minute they come out. But it's the parents who have to do much more work with their own ways of thinking and their own behavior. So that was one very big step. And for us, unschooling is really not only about it. It's actually very little to do with not sending our. It's not just not sending our child to school, but it's really much more. I mean, for us, unschooling really means about how we heal ourselves if we are falling sick. Are we dependent on mainstream allopathy, or are we thinking of other alternative ways of healing that exist in our own communities? So, for example, we've also thought a lot, and after coming to this, we've also not vaccinated Kanku because we feel that's also a part of this very institutionalized way of thinking about health. And whenever we fall sick, we try not to take any medicines, but try to think about the food we're eating, try to think about our own lifestyle, what we could do to basically heal ourselves, and also about local remedies that exist around us. And So, I mean, it's really not about only school. Then we also think about how we spend our time together. So, Kanku, now that she's big, she has been coming to Shikshantar regularly, but she also goes and spends a lot of time with other people. She loves a television set in our house. This was a decision we made when
But we have that TV CD player one. Not
we watch
player one.
films together. We don't have any cable connection or any.
Yeah.
Because
Some
we
you
feel
were,
that-
yeah.
Huh?
Sorry. Some you were mentioning that she doesn't like reading. She writes little. So does that? I mean, normally when I meet homeschoolers or even people in alternate school, this somehow this basic skills comes out as a very. Somehow it comes out okay, everything is fine. But if the child is not doing that, then creates a lot of either anxiety or a doubt about what we are doing. So, I mean,
No, I think again, I mean, for us, it's never been about trying to think of how we can, compare our child with any other child. And we have also tried to question the basic assumption of what a basic need is. Actually, we feel that most children who go to school today don't know the basic need of how to cook for themselves or about any question about food they don't know. They're actually consciously kept away from all these things. And we feel that as much as it's important to know how to read and write, it's important to
और मैं दुनिया को
know
दिखा दूंगी कि मैं पढ़ना सीख जाऊंगी.
नहीं कर सकती है. But it's also important that a child is aware of the nature around them, how the food they're eating is grown, how they can cook food, how they can be creative in their own houses, how they can live and create a healthy environment in their own house. These are actually also very basic needs that
which we don't actually
we don't address at home. And we very consciously allow Kanku and encourage Kanku to do all the household chores also, because we feel those are very important also. So reading and writing is one thing that we feel can be learned at any age. You don't need to go to 12 years of school to learn how to read and write. And most of the time I've seen that children who go to 12 years of school or college and are still not, I'm going to finish talking, are still not articulate enough or can't express themselves.
yeah.
So that's a very big question as to what they do in 12 years if they really can't, learn how to read or write a proper letter in 12 years of their life. So for us, it's really important that she expresses herself in many different ways. And we've seen that when she's in nature, she's a totally different person, and she expresses things that she would not be able to express through a book or a textbook. So we want to appreciate all those gifts also that she has.
But I know that
Anku, I'll also take your interview after Mama's interview.
And there
Be
is
ready with
also
your
this
thoughts.
Very big question that we don't want to force her to read and write unless the need or the will to or want to learn how to read and write comes from her. So in most cases what happens is we just force children to learn how to read and write or the alphabet, and so it doesn't really stay with them because it's not relevant to their lives. So we feel things become relevant and meaningful if it comes from within and not from force.
Yeah.
I share this story that a lot of our friends didn't know how to read and write till the age of 13, 20. And when there was really an urge or a will to learn, like if they really wanted to communicate with somebody or create something, then they said, okay, now we need to learn how to read and write. So I think that for her also, there'll be many different interests that she has. Maybe the need to read and write will come through those. Like maybe makeup will be one area where she will, want to explore the world on her terms, and maybe reading and writing would be
Come naturally,
or through nature. So it has to come from within. And the great thing is that she knows how to communicate.
That's
in
more
than 3 or 4
important.
languages already. And when it comes to even using the word, she can use a computer. She types the things that she wants to. So that's important. We don't want to kill that will from inside also. And we feel confident that if there is a will to learn to read and write, you learn very fast also. Like our friend Peter, who never went to school, till the age of 13, he didn't know how to read and write at all. His parents were both teachers in the US, and they didn't force him to read and write. They didn't even ask him to read books. And till the age of 13, he didn't know how to do anything. And he was very cool. He used to do lots of other things. And he was good at sports. So at the age of 13, when he went for a sports camp, he fell in love with this girl. He started liking this girl. And then at that point, he suddenly realized, oh my God, but I can't call her every day. It's very difficult to call her every day. So within 2 months, he learned how to read and write because he had to write letters to her. And that guy is now a journalist. He's a very good web designer. And so, we have examples of if you really want to learn something, you will find learn it.
Yeah.
You will find your resources for that. You don't need a teacher to sit on your head to do that. So I feel that something similar may happen. It may happen later, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And there is no, if you are a confident human being, if you know your community people, you will find a way to
get anything.
In today's world, I think it's very difficult to not, stay totally illiterate also. Again, what is literacy? We have to question that also. So that's one thing. We have pressure from our parents. But I think for us, it's really, as parents, we have made a very conscious decision that we will not put any pressure on her.